Hello everyone, welcome back to Movies I Watched This Week, except it's not. It's something totally different because I watched and edited the last Movies I Watched This Week that was posted whenever, and it was 50 minutes long and it was like actually painful, so I can't imagine anyone actually watched that, but if you did, God bless ya. So I came up with a new idea that we'll be trying out today, which is, would I recommend these movies to an alien that just landed in my backyard? Yes, no, and if so, why not? Here's all the movies that I watched. There's 9 movies in total, so we're just going to be flying through these, and I'm going to tell you whether or not I would recommend them to an alien who landed in my backyard. And you're probably like, why an alien in your backyard? Because they've never been to Earth before, and I'm going to recommend them some movies, so don't you think it would be integral for them to know what cinema they should pay attention to? Yeah, exactly. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's get into the video. First movie I watched was the 1977 version of Suspiria, directed by Dario Argento. Okay? An American newcomer to a prestigious German ballet academy comes to realize that the school is a front for something sinister amid a series of grisly murders. So if you've seen the Luca Guadagnino version of Suspiria and you've never seen the original, allow me to give you a very, very elementary comparison. The 1977 version is camp. The Luca Guadagnino version is cunt, okay? This version, this film, specifically this era of both cinema in general and horror specifically, had such incredible production design. The late 70s, the early 80s. It didn't die off, but like if you watch films from this time and then watch movies from the 90s, it's very clear that it's changed. And my favorite thing about this film specifically is the production design. The use of red, the textures of the dance academy, the walls, the lighting. Everything contrasts one another. Very similar to Blue Velvet, directed by David Lynch, which is like one of my favorite movies for its production design. The colors serve to contrast each other and create a mood and create a vibe that amplifies the horror elements, compared to movies now that rely on natural lighting, but it actually just washes everything out or makes things impossible to see. This has beautiful texture. The set design, it's rich. It's rich, it's creamy. The gore and the horror is whimsical. That's why it's camp, it's whimsical, it's fun. It's not something that's gonna make you sleep with the lights on. It's something that's gonna make you be like, that was epic. Therefore, if an alien landed in my backyard and was asking me a movie to watch, I would definitely recommend Suspiria to them. I would also maybe recommend this movie to somebody who is about to like travel to a new country or like a new state or just a new place in general. And maybe they're thinking like, but I shouldn't go because what about this? What about this? This I guarantee you this won't happen there. So let's reduce a little bit of that anxiety. Okay, so I'd maybe recommend this movie to them as well. I rate Suspiria, if I had to, like a 5 out of 5. I don't think this is a movie that you can rate, though, because it is simply just so wonderful. I also, similarly, in this realm, I would also recommend to you watching this, if you do like Suspiria, or if you're going to watch it and you want something afterwards, Possession. Okay, moving on. Next movie I watched, which I've actually been anticipating for a very, very long time, wanted to see it in theaters, but you know the spiel, like it didn't come to theaters near me. A fucking road. Was Borderline, 2025, directed by Jimmy Warden. Now, let me just say, when I was writing my notes, because I always have an issue where my laptop almost starts on fire when I'm filming these videos, I get my log lines and my descriptions off of Letterboxd. Why are they so long? Like, so long to the point where I'm like, this is too many words to describe what happens in the film, and it's not even a good job. I don't know who writes that copy, because a lot of the times the descriptions from Google to Letterboxd to here vary. So I'm confused at who's writing these, because it's just not the best foot forward for these films, whoever's writing these. So I shortened the Borderline one, okay, because it gave too much away. Like, after escaping from a mental hospital, a violent sociopath named Paul begins a dangerous rampage targeting Sophia, a world-famous pop star. So there's a whole nother chunk of that description, but I got rid of it because if you want to watch this movie, like, that takes all of the fun and suspense away. I loved this movie because of its sound design, specifically the use of like pop music to amplify different scenarios and crazy things that happen within the story. Samara Weaving Ray Nicholson, and Eric Dane. That's all from memory. The three of them are the leads in this movie, and they work incredibly well together, and I just thought it was really funny and great. However, it takes place in the 90s. You'd never know that. You would never know that. There was not one element in the film other than the lacking of cell phones and like modern technology that would make me think this is the 90s. The costume design wasn't really 90s. The sound and music design was, but she's a pop star in the 90s. She was giving me a little bit of Gwen Stefani. I wasn't really getting it. So that was kind of a bummer. But I definitely think this is a fun, lighthearted comedy horror. It's not horror again where you're going to sleep with the lights on. It's very fun and more of like a... What is that genre actually called? Let's think about this here. If it's a horror comedy, but it's more along the lines of like scary stuff happens and it's funny, is it just a comedy? Horror, comedy, drama, all of these genres are subjective because it's gonna pertain to what you find terrifying in the world of horror, what you find funny in the world of comedy, what you find sad, romantic, dramatic, so on and so forth. So let's just not even give it a genre. If an alien touched down in my backyard and wanted to watch a movie right now, I would put on Borderline for them. And then I would probably go into explaining like the legacy behind Samara Weaving as a Scream queen, and we'd probably get into the Scream franchise and how it's deteriorated over the years, and then we could get into Ray Nicholson's father, a little bit Nepo baby with The Shine. Like, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of stuff to chew on. I'd also recommend this movie to you if you have like a first date or something like that and you need a movie to watch. It's like, this is a good one that you can watch, but also if you like stop watching for whatever reason, it's totally fine and it's totally okay. Okay, next movie, Honey Don't, 2025, directed by Ethan Coen. Truth be told, I was really looking forward to this movie because of Aubrey Plaza, Chris Evans, and Margaret Qualley. However, this is one of those instances where the trailer was too long and gave too much away. Because the trailer was in fact better than the entire movie as a whole. Because it showed you all of the main key points. And then the movie, like, you have a trailer that gives away all of the good stuff. I just watched the trailer for Anaconda, a new movie coming out with, like, Paul Rudd and Jack Black, and when I went to go see Black Phone 2 yesterday. And the trailer, I was like, so what's left of the movie that I haven't just seen now? You know? Honey Don't kind of did that with the trailer. So, I didn't really like that. Like, trailers need to be shorter or they need to be put together better because they're all kind of following this very similar formula, and so I've just stopped really watching them. When I went to see Black Phone 2 yesterday, I didn't watch the trailer because I was like, it's gonna make me feel and think certain ways about the movie, and I would rather just go in blind and make my own assumptions. So the trailer for Honey Don't was in fact better than the movie, which will lead me to not recommending it to the alien in my backyard. Like, I just don't really think he needs to see that. Also because it was one of the straightest depictions of lesbianism I've ever seen. Even straighter than Drive Away Dolls. Like, it was just, there's very few TV shows and films that I've watched myself, so please recommend them down below, that realistically depict a lesbian relationship that is not a period piece where one of them dies or they get separated or whatever, like Portrait of a Lady. There's very few. Like, I've watched Queer as Folk and I watched The L Words, but those both had very, like, feminine white women depictions of lesbianism as well. So it's like there's not a lot out there. And I wouldn't ever recommend this one to somebody who was, like, trying to get into the world of queer movies and lesbianism and, like, discover that. I would never recommend this to them. So I wasn't really into that. I also thought there were so many great elements of the film, like the mysterious murders linked to this church. Chris Evans' weird dynamic as the church leader and like the sex cult that's going on in there. Honey O'Donoghue herself being a lesbian and like attracted to women and using that as a tool in her investigations. Like, all of these individual elements were great. We should have just picked one and stayed there. Like, all of it was happening that I was like flatlining, kind of bored throughout it because I was like, nothing is sticking, right? So Alien, don't worry, this is not on your TBR or TBW or your watch list. Well, who cares? Next movie, Crimson Peak, 2015, Guillermo del Toro. Also, let's just have a moment for Frankenstein. No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm strategically waiting because it's only showing at the North Park Theater in Buffalo, and I've requested the movie poster, like, to purchase it when they're done. And so in order to do that, I'm going on the very last day it's showing so that I can get the movie secured. So I haven't seen it yet, so don't you dare spoil that shit for me, because people have already started, and I'm willing to delete social media apps if you people don't stop fucking, like, bothering me with spoilers and edits. I love them, but let's give it some time. In the aftermath of a family tragedy, an aspiring author is torn between love of her childhood friend and the temptation of a mysterious outsider. Trying to escape the ghost of her past, she's swept away to a house that breeds, bleeds, and remembers. So that's Crimson Peak. Everything about this movie is perfect. Specifically, the set design, the costume design, the hair, and the makeup. It all makes sense for the period. It also all makes sense for the activities happening, right? She does not have a full beat on walking through the castle at night with the candelabra. She does, however, have neck-to-toe nightgown and crimped hair. Incredible. Incredible. And my first note about this, other than everything being perfect, because of course it is, it's Guillermo del Toro, let's be honest, is that I'm going to start a petition that there should not be any use of CGI in a period piece if the elements of said period piece are available in the archives. Stick with me now, right? Bridgerton. Netflix specifically. We're making a period piece. The sky, it exists. It's real. You can shoot at different times of the day and get different lighting elements from the sky. Why are we using CGI to create sunshine? Like, sunshine to the point where it literally looks so terribly bad, awful. No. CGI to create textured wallpaper and walls. Like, no. If it's available, if it's out there, if somebody can make it, let's do it. And I understand there's elements of budget and things like that, but if I watch another period piece that looks like it's just people dressed in old clothes standing in front of an iPad, I'm gonna lose it. Okay? Let's make it feel like the era. Even, like, dialogue helps, of course, but, like, let's make things feel a little bit more true to the year that they're coming out. Right? Okay. Sorry, that was personal. This movie, I have a shelf here of all my fantasy books. I'm not really as into fantasy as I once was, just because it is a commitment of world building and multiple books, and they're thick, and, like, I have a low attention span. I like to read a book, finish it, and move on to the next. Like, similar with movies. If I really am into something, I'll read the rest of them. But the last fantasy I read was Sarah J. Maas' Crescent City, and I didn't finish the second book because I was like, no. But so I would recommend this book, not only to the alien that just came down to Earth to introduce him to the world of Guillermo del Toro and just, like, Gothic literature and Gothic romanticism in a way, but I would also recommend this movie to somebody that wears nightgowns to bed, me, and has dreams of, like, a romance that literally ignites fire in your body. We just talked about Sarah J. Maas, okay? I don't have the book on my shelf. I lent it to a friend. The second book, Mist and Fury? Is it Mist and Fury? I think so. There's a chapter in it everybody knows. It's with Rhysand and Farah. Spoiler, don't care. They engage in a love scene. But when I was reading it, it moved me physically. Like, I physically was, like, giddy, turning the pages, waiting to see what happened next. This movie between Tom Hiddleston and, can't remember her name. Between the two leads, there's something tangible within their love story, even though it's chaotic and crazy and not fully factual. I don't really know how to put that into words. There's a lot going on, but there's elements within their love that literally makes me, like, electrified. So I would not only recommend that to the alien in my backyard, but I would also recommend that to anybody looking for that kind of thing. Because some, like, books do a great job of evoking that, but so do movies. Quite literally, they're visual. So there's that. Next movie, Nosferatu, 1922. 1922. I would recommend the Robert Eggers Nosferatu to anyone that crosses my path, because I already have. Now, this 1922 version, would I recommend it to an alien that came down to Earth? Absolutely, because I think they need to experience silent film, because my sister did for the very first time when I took her to see it with a live orchestra the other day. That's where we got to see this. But anyway, I would recommend this movie to somebody that would appreciate it, because a lot of people are turned off by subtitles, so I can't imagine that they would want to watch a silent film that's very like fast-paced and whimsical and you really have to pay attention. You don't really have to pay attention, but like it helps. So I wouldn't recommend this movie to everybody, but I would definitely recommend it to the alien in my backyard. And then we'd probably get into like the silent era. We get into a little bit of Charlie Chaplin, and then we move into 1926 with the jazz singer, and we finally have sound. Okay? Yeah. All right. Anyway. 1922, directed by F.W. Murnau. The mysterious Count Orlok summons a happily married real estate agent to his castle, locked up in the Transylvania mountains, to finalize a deal. What does my handwriting say there? Full of terrifying consequences. So, I actually had never seen Nosferatu, the original, prior to this viewing. I'd seen bits and pieces of it in film class, but I was never able to find it and be able to watch it. So, watching it after seeing the Robert Eggers version like 100 times, it was just like, he has such a mind for taking this piece of art and like the adaptations that came later, and then its influences of Dracula, and just his influences from Gothic literature, if you've seen The Witch, The Northman, etc. Like, he really is a visionary, because the way that he focused in on Ellen in the story, and just like everything was so detailed and beautiful, period piece that had detail and texture and lighting, and was like, I don't have the words. Alien in my backyard, we're watching Nosferatu together, and when you start asking me questions, I'm not gonna have them. Then right after, we'll put on the Robert Eggers version, and they'll all be answered for you to some extent. Yeah, you got that. Also, I am being very centrist in believing that the alien would also speak English, because they probably would have no idea what's even happening anyhow. But I don't know, in every space movie ever, they all speak English and have American accents. Isn't that crazy? Okay. The next movie I watched, we're just going to get it right out of the way. I would not recommend this movie to really, like, anyone, unless somebody asked specifically for a movie that fit into this box, okay? And I'll tell you why. The Hunt, 2012, Thomas Vinterberg. A teacher lives a lonely life. All the while struggling over his son's custody, his life slowly gets better as he finds love and receives good news from his son. But his new luck is about to be brutally shattered by an innocent little lie. So this film stars Mads Mikkelsen. Mikkelsen? You tell me. I watched this movie because I am so incredibly attracted to him. I'm madly in love with him ever since I watched Hannibal. And I was like trying to go through his filmography and just like watch everything. So I put on The Hunt. Don't watch this movie if you're looking for something to rile you up in terms of Mads Mikkelsen. Just put on Hannibal. This is a devastating, interpersonal, evocative story about children and like their curiosity and how that can lead to harm. But also, let me break it down for you a little bit. Mads Mikkelsen is a teacher in a kindergarten, and a young girl essentially starts a rumor that something sexual happened between the two of them because her older brother was showing her sexual explicit imagery. And she was in kindergarten. Obviously, she's confused. She doesn't understand what that means. She hears her parents fight all the time. So, like, she's absorbing all of these things happening in her surroundings, and she then creates this lie. And you see how that destroys this man's life. And you feel for him, and you're empathetic, and you understand. You're like, but that's not what happened. However, if you look at the facts here, he's a single man who lost custody of his son working in a kindergarten. People are going to make their assumptions. So this is a movie to watch with somebody that, like, you can have a good conversation about this after, or just watch it on your own like I did. This isn't a movie where I'm, like, shelling out recommendations to everybody. I'm not giving this to the alien. Like, I just feel like that would be a lot of conversations to have with them on our first, like, week together, and I feel like I need to, like, parent and help the alien, like, adapt to modern culture and society and all of the different stereotypes and like things within age and sex and gender and power dynamics, so before we can ever get into this meat and potatoes. So I'm not recommending this movie to the alien. I would recommend it to you Also, can you handle subtitles? Because it's in Swedish. If you can't, do better. Okay, the next movie I watched was Salem's Lot, 2024 version, available on HBO Max, directed by Gary Dauberman. Author Ben Mears returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by a bloodthirsty vampire. Okay, if you know me at all, I fucking love vampires. Interview with a Vampire, Twilight, Carmilla, Blood-Spattered Bride, Nosferatu. We could keep going. I love vampires. I love the history of vampires. I love how it shifts from different stories, like the Vampire Diaries, True Blood, totally different vampires, but it all falls into the blood-sucking category, right? So when I click on something because it involves vampires, I'm expecting to see a fucking vampire. The main plot of this movie was Lewis Pullman, who plays Ben Mears, coming back to his town and falling in love with this young girl, and them, like, vampires coming in at the same time and them having to defeat them. The vampires were, like, a B storyline. We barely saw them. Like, Salem's Lot came out in, the 70s? Like, my dad always told me that movie scared the shit out of him. So we watched this thinking that it was going to be, like, a modern, scarier Salem's Lot. No, it wasn't. The lighting, the color grading, and the CGI was, like, noticeably bad. The plot itself, just, like, the pacing, the plot, everything about it was, like, if I had to pick a vampire movie, this would never come up. And I hate to negatively speak about a movie, but it's like, what are we doing? Actually, what was this? The best part of the movie was the kid Mark, who was obsessed with vampires and was using all of his knowledge on the different kinds of vampires to help save the day. That was the best part of the whole movie, is this one kid. I would recommend this movie, not to the alien in my backyard, it's not fair to him. I would recommend this movie to parents who have defiant children that want to watch horror, but you're like, obviously it's not appropriate for you yet. Recommend this, because it's mainly about children defeating vampires. It was a pretty, like, elementary horror movie. What even really all in that? I just am a huge fan of Lewis Pullman, so I was like, yeah. So I can still appreciate it as for what it is, but it's like, it obviously wasn't what I was looking for. And that's okay. Confessions of a Shopaholic. I just want to start by saying this has been on my watch list for years. Passively, just as, like, an iconic rom-com, and then I became obsessed with Hannibal, became obsessed with Hugh Dancy, and my sister was like, he's in Confessions of a Shopaholic. And I was like, immediately watching. I watched it while my cousin did my nails, actually. 2009, directed by P.J. Hogan. In the glamorous world of New York City, Rebecca Bloomwood is a fun-loving girl who is really good at shopping. A little too good, perhaps. She dreams of working for her favourite fashion magazine, but can't quite get her foot in the door. Until, ironically, she snags a job as the advice columnist for a financial magazine published by the same company. The alien's landing in my backyard. I'm grabbing them. I'm pulling them in. I'm sitting them on the couch. I'm grabbing a blanket, putting it on the both of us, and I'm saying, lock the fuck in. You want to be introduced to the world of a 2000s rom-com? Here you fucking go. And then we'll do 13 going on 30. And then we'll do How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And then we'll do 10 Things I Hate About You. And then we'll do She's the Man. And then we'll go down the list. We'll hit them all. We'll hit them all. This movie's fucking perfect. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. It's fun. It's vibrant. It's flirty. It's like, it follows the story arc of a rom-com to the letter. It's perfect. Hugh Dancy is also hot as fuck. Hot as fuck. Perfect leading man for a rom-com. Need more of them. He's older now. He's like 50 now. He's married to Claire Danes. Let's get a rom-com with the both of them. I know he's busy with Law and Order, but make it work. Make it work. Movie's absolutely perfect. I'd recommend this movie to anybody at any time for whatever reason. You need something to cheer you up, a little something fun, lighthearted, put it on. You need something to distract you from the terrible day you had, put it on. You need something to thirst over, Hugh Dancy, put it on. Leslie Bibb is in it with a really cunty bob, and she works for the magazine and wears all black eyeliner, and it's like Miranda Priestly 30 years earlier if she was into, like, steampunk, kind of. That's what I recommend this movie for. It's fabulous. 5 stars. Amazing. And final movie, Bring Her Back, 2025, directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. Sounds familiar? They also directed Talk to Me, which was horrifying and incredible and stimulating, and it riled me up so good when I watched it alone in bed, like I always do with these horror movies. This movie scared the fuck out of me, truthfully. So Alien, I'm gonna give you a TW. I don't know what triggers happen in outer space, so I don't know if that'll even matter to you. I don't know if this is child's play for them, but once again, like, sit down, blanket, we're putting this on. Because I keep telling people about this movie, and I keep saying how it disturbed me, and I was, like, really uncomfortable, and nobody wants to watch it. Apparently, it's not normal to want to be disturbed and scared all the time before you go to bed. I don't know why that is. I don't know what happened to me in my life that I really enjoy horror movies alone specifically, but that's how I watched Bring Her Back. Following the death of their father, a brother and sister are introduced to their new sibling by their foster mother, only to learn she has a terrifying secret. Remember earlier in the video when I said a trailer, if it's too long, it like ruins the movie and leaves no surprises? If you watch the trailer for Bring Her Back and you watch the movie, I guarantee you you're not going to expect a goddamn thing that happens in that movie based on the trailer. You're not even going to know who the main character is when the movie starts because of your predetermined ideas from the trailer. And that is fantastic work. This movie is incredible. It's disturbing. It's unsettling. It made me squeamish. It made me like actually turn the computer around, which I've only done for very few movies. I like literally had to look away. The pacing, the world building, the horror elements, all on 10. All on 10. This movie is great. The two of these guys, I can't wait to see what they do next. It's like, it is masterful. I just admire their work so much. And I love when a movie has a home base, specifically a horror movie. And the home base in this film was quite literally the house. It's like we have a setting that we're all familiar with, but as the story goes on, it's like the safe space continues to change and be like a danger. Oh, it's just so good. The acting's incredible. The complex relationships between the foster mom and the kids and their relationship to their father who had passed, and then the other child, and then the external people in their lives trying to give them like counseling and guidance. It's all incredible. The brother and sister, however, are incredible together. The chemistry, the believability of them as siblings, and just like the overarching theme of the film itself. And I don't want to spoil it or give anything away, but it's like, in order to protect the people we love, specifically if you're thinking like an older sibling to a younger sibling who maybe there's different things happening in their lives, which I will bring up again when we talk about Black Phone. But the idea of like an older sibling shielding the younger sibling from certain traumas happening in their life to make their experience in their life better. The sister in this film happens to be blind as well. So there's an added element of the brother going out of his way to make life beautiful for her because she can't see it. And that leads to a negative outcome, but I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to recommend it to you and The Alien in My Backyard. Okay? Wonderful. So those are the movies I watched this week, and whether or not I recommend them to you or I recommend them to The Alien in My Backyard. If you'd like another movie along these lines and you have a very specific character other than an extraterrestrial just landing in my backyard that you would want me to recommend movies to, go ahead, leave it in the comments below. Also, I just think I want to keep changing up the way I do movies I watch this week because whatever was happening before is not going to work for me anymore, personally. In the editing room, on the cutting room floor, it makes me want to literally like rip my brain out of my skull and slap it at a wall until it eviscerates and I can never put it back into my skull. Anyway, that's that for movies I watched this week. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. If you don't, I'm still going to be here, clearly. Clearly, we're not stopping anytime soon. I've already seen 2 movies since Bring Her Back, so we've got a lot to talk about. Yeah. That said, like always, I have a blog, I have an Instagram, a TikTok, all Dry Gin Martini. You can totally check those out. And I don't know if it came out yet or if it's coming out after this, but the first ever like actual published Dry Gin Martini magazine is coming out. I couldn't be more grateful and more thankful and just more proud of it, but also the people that were so kind enough to participate and like put themselves in the magazine as well. I'm just really excited for that to come out. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, stay flirty, stay thirsty, watch more movies together, make more movies together. And watch a movie with the alien that lands in your backyard. They're probably harmless. Haven't you seen Signs? Okay, chin chin.